Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition. What do I say? Edition or episode? Episode of the
Episode.
SempreMilan. Mate, I'm all off kilt. Another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. We were supposed to have Madison with us as well. He's awake. His Wi-Fi is just not getting the job done, so he said he might hop on in the middle of the podcast. And yeah, that's where we're at now. So
Yeah, Maddie's Wi-Fi is doing a Paulo Fonseca's Milan. It is unreliable.
it is shitting the bed.
Yeah, it is letting us down. But we'll see. Anyway, before we dive into this week's episode, and it is going to be a very interesting one because we have not made a great start to the season. Want to say thank you to all of our Substack founding members: Des Windsor McGlynn, Tito, Matt, Moritz Pullman, Joey Gawler, Kemin, MJ, Mats, Luke Villano, Raul Escobar, Jack Colafassi, Nasser Millin Flinker, Derek Favretto, Heavenly 13, Mike Schulz, JT Physio, Tarek, Marco Villea, and Roberto Recinos. Thank you very much for all of your support. It's a difficult time to support Milan at the moment. So yeah, thank you more than ever, I guess, for supporting what we do on the Substack. The most recent article to go out there was one basically about history repeating itself and about whether the management have made the right choice in going for a coach of Paulo Fonseca's mould. You might say it's a little bit too easy, but it's more just an exploratory article on the different routes that we could have gone down. There was another bonus article about the signs of an inexperienced management and taking so long to get deals done, struggling to make sales, that kind of thing. Pretty negative at the moment. There's a live blog which recaps all of the deals that we have done so far this summer and the financial impact of the 2024 Mercato so far. The bonus podcast that we did last week was on Yusuf Fofana, who arrived from Monaco. That was a player profile that we did, me and you, on Friday. So yeah, go check it out. The Substack, you can try a week for free if you like. It's the last week of the transfer window, so this week's going to be a spicy one. It's a good time to get signed up and see if you enjoy it. And let's just go for it, mate. Parma, Saturday night, Stadio Ennio Tardini. Yeah, not good. It was a stinker. It was an absolute stinker. We predicted wins in the preview, and I think, look, we weren't, wild for doing that, were we? It was a newly promoted team that we were coming up against. We thought we'd have and we did have a stronger starting lineup out there for the game. And yet, unfortunately, it wasn't to be. We lost 2-1. We conceded 2 goals on the counter-attack. We got ourselves level thanks to Pulisic at one point in the second half. But yeah, we emerged with nothing. We have 1 point from 2 games. It's our worst start to a league season since 2011-12 under Max Allegri when we were defending the Scudetto. And of course, we did end up challenging for the title that season with the Montari goal and stuff, so it wasn't all bad that season. But yeah, we're 5 points behind Juve already, 3 behind Inter. And I think what's worrying is that it isn't like we're being unlucky in these games. We're seeing the same old familiar flaws come up again. So what do we start with? I guess the fact that we conceded within 2 minutes.
Yeah, Dennis Mann scored on us in the second minute. It was a counterattack. Madison's return. Speaking of man,
good time to arrive.
Yeah, right. Talk about a shitty game.
Yeah.
Shitty game, shitty Wi-Fi. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, Dennis Mann scored in the second minute. Like you said, it was a counter. Valeri got ahead of Calabria, played the ball over to Mann, and he was just waiting right in front of goal. Did they do a VAR check? And then they're just like, oh, why are we wasting our time with this? Like, it was very clearly onside.
Yeah.
And that just kind of set the tone. Everyone was like, oh, whoa. I think that's two goals in 2 games for Dennis Mann as well, right?
It is, he scored against Fiorentina. Yeah. He, after a good Euros with Romania as well, and a good season in Serie B with Parma, he's one of their key men, and that's why you got to be so surprised to see him in acres of space just 2 minutes in. Like, we conceded twice against Torino in the opening game of the season, and you think, okay, let's just at least show that we're going to be more difficult to score against this time, and to concede with basically their first attack of the game. And not only that, but to allow such a glaring counter-attack within 2 minutes it was just over a minute, in fact. It's barely 60 seconds played, and to concede a goal like that was just absolutely shocking. And as you say, it did set the tone. There was a lot of finger pointing going on for that one. And what's really pissing me off, actually, because I think that this applies also to the 2 goals conceded in the first game, is that you can blame literally everything. You can point a finger at individuals. You can say Calabria should do better to stop the supply. The centre-back should be in a better position to cut out the low cross. Theo should be covering his man running. There. Yes, running. Yeah, just showing any kind of intent to get back. And yeah, that was a theme as well for the second goal. But then you can also point at the collective. So when Chow's making errors, you're kind of like, oh, that's shit, but it's a brain fart and he shouldn't be in our normal starting lineup. But then when it's a collective and a group of individual errors, it's just like, fuck, something's not working here. Maddie, do you want to rant to kick off?
Yeah, I think that no one understands the tactics that Francesca is trying to implement. Did I say his name wrong? That's cool. I think it's the first time I've ever. Yeah, cool. I think it's the first time I've ever said it out loud. So it's going to be a learning thing for all of us, right?
Yeah. Francesca's, isn't that a jewelry shop? Like for hippie girls?
No idea.
I think it is, yeah.
Call him Paulo.
Yeah, the entire game, the right and left backs were just going up the field and leaving Pavlovic and did I say his name wrong too?
No, that was good.
Okay. Pavlovic is good.
Tomori to just run back. And Pavlovic had a fantastic game. If he did not get, unlike what AJ said in the chat, if he did not get those 2 or 3 tackles that could have very gone wrong, it would have been way higher.
Yeah, he was literally the only positive note, I think, of the game.
And I think with Musa and Reinders playing together, they both want to push up the field. And when your outside backs are pushing up, you have to have one of your midfielders sit back. And Musa kind of said that after the game, right? He's like, I didn't know if I should sit back and defend or push up the field. That's a problem. And I don't know if it's just Musa not understanding the game of football or tactics are not being communicated or the outside backs are not supposed to be pushing that far up. So,
yeah, I don't want to slander Musa, but I'm going to.
You have to be impartial on this podcast, otherwise you get made or bullied for making sure that Americans are perfect, which we are most of the time, right?
Pulisic scored.
Yeah, well, that actually goes to my reasoning.
Like I said,
I think Musa only started this game because it was on CBS in America. It was the first time a Serie A match was on a major cable network, and
it was on last weekend.
Started. Not on big CBS, on a major network.
They were on cable TV last week.
What part are you missing? CBS Sports isn't CBS. It was on big CBS, the main channel with the news. That was their big ordeal. They sent the crew, everything, and they played the 2 Americans. Pulisic obviously is going to play. I didn't think Musa made any sense for this game.
Who else would you have played? Fofana, who's never played?
No, Reinders and Benacer is who I would have played. So, Benacer didn't get a single minute, which is interesting. I know there's transfer talk, but yeah, it was odd that he didn't get any minutes. I thought the guy who's been of the longest.
He played the entire preseason, so
yeah, he played a full 90. No, he didn't play a full 90 last week, but regardless, he played a lot. I thought that was an interesting decision, and I base it solely on the marketing of the game. But looking at the stats, we were the far better team, far better. 61 possession to 39. We had 5. Both teams had 5 shots on target. We had 17 total shots though. 3 of ours were blocked. We hit the woodwork once. 10 of our shots were inside the box. We just couldn't fucking score. Apparently, double the passes.
It's the same story every year.
Triple the passes in their half, in the opposition half. Quadruple the touches in the opposite box. I mean, everything. If you look at the stats, it's like, oh, damn, Milan dominated this one and got unlucky, which isn't what happened. We got our asses kicked. But stat-wise, we definitely were doing something. It just wasn't enough. We just
can't close.
Product. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. and then we leave ourselves open for the counter, which is exactly what we got hit on twice. And just to go back to your Pavlovic comment, I agree. He was man of the match, and he did have an incredible second half and a few great saves in the first half. My comment about him making mistakes was in the beginning, that first goal, he went to do like a little rainbow flick to intercept it, and it went over him, and that's how it got to Valeri in the first place. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? That was all. And there was another time when he made that great save in our own box in the first half. It was
That's the point I was talking about.
Yeah. No, that was fantastic.
He's the reason why he had to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the second half, he was impeccable. He was fantastic. So happy with his debut overall. But yeah, in the first half, I was like, ooh, he's doing great things, but because he's putting himself in a bad situation. So, and that's, you grow out of that. I'm not too worried about him in the future. But yeah, that's really all I got for this game.
I think that there's going to be a
nice,
steep learning curve of what these players are supposed to be doing.
And I think in order for those instructions to to be transmitted properly, or for them to be carried out, they have to be transmitted properly. And I think Musa was almost a bit too honest in his post-match comments, in saying that he didn't really know what he was meant to be doing. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But it did just sort of set alarm bells ringing. Like, hang on, do these players actually not know what they're meant to be doing? If you watch the performance, I was just going to say, if you watch the performance, it would suggest that's correct because it was so disjointed. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and you're right. But it's just interesting that Musa said that because he played the entire preseason. Like, if anyone should know it, should be him, right?
Yeah, but now that we have the starters, things might change a little bit. Also, the outside backs should not have been pressing so far up.
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe by doing that, it threw him off. Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, Fonseca himself has said if one fullback is pressing forward, the other needs to stay behind. You need balance. And yet, Theo and Calabria, or Theo and Emerson, both were very far forward. And even Pavlovic was actually more forward than Leao on quite a few occasions. And that just turned back, but
gonna go out on a limb and say the issue is Theo just doing what he wants.
That could be it, but then the issue is the coach if you are trying to tell Theo to sit back and let Emerson go forward. Theo's the guy to go forward.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he is. I do know that, but like, I don't know what's going on is what I mean.
Yeah, if you tell Theo that he can't be himself almost, then you are limiting a lot of what he's good at. And that is...
I mean, Gianpaolo did that with Paqueta, and look how that turned out.
Yeah, I mean, he did it with quite a few players as well.
Stop gambling.
True. Yeah. Yeah, like we equalised. So first things first, this team cannot chase games, or rather, I don't think with this style we're going to be very good at chasing games. As in, we go behind and we have to try and overturn the result. I think the Torino game showed us that. We need to dominate from the start and take the lead and then control games rather than go behind, have this, what Fonseca has called himself, a possession-based style of dominating games, because other teams are going to sit back and counter, and we are very vulnerable on the counter. The Torino game showed that. We went 1-0 down, we were pushing to equalise, we conceded a second goal up the other end, and it's like, well, we've lost this one. Late fight back in amongst all the chaos. Let's not act as if it was some well-orchestrated... It was essentially chaos ball that got us a draw from that one. Then in this one, we fall behind again. We look really, really laboured in trying to break them down. We created a couple of half chances. There was a Pavlovic header. There was an Okafor chance from close range that their goalkeeper, Suzuki, saved well. I thought he had a good game. He's been their main summer signing for Parma. But then we did equalise in the 66th minute. And it was after a little spell where you thought, okay, we're knocking on the door here. And we get the goal. And you think, okay, we've got, potentially 30 minutes if you include added time for cooling breaks and stuff like that, to go on and win the game. And in my head, when the full-time whistle had gone, I was reflecting on it thinking, well, maybe we pushed too hard, for that winner. Maybe we made changes that committed too many bodies forward, and that's why we got caught at the other end. The changes that we made straight after we scored the goal to make it 1-1 were Emerson Royale coming on for Calabria and Fofana coming on for Musa. Those are not changes that suggest that we should be caught on what was like a 3-on-2 break, basically, to then go on and lose the game. We made 2 changes with 5 minutes ago. Chukwueze on for Pulisic and Jovic on for Okafor. These are like-for-like changes. So it's not like we're switching to a 4-2-4 and we're going to try and chaos ball our way through it again. It was, that their winning goal went in the 77th minute. As mentioned, it was a breakaway where they had more players going forward than we had going back. It came from a Leao giveaway, and then he stood and sulked. I don't even necessarily blame him, a major part for conceding that particular goal. See Theo jogging back. For both goals, he was apparently running 9 kilometers an hour slower than the right winger. So Man and then Cancellieri, who scored. You can microanalyze that all you want, but it's unacceptable. We know he has the pace to keep up with these players, and yet he was happy to let his man go. And yeah, we've lost a game where it felt like scoring when we did. We had the momentum in our favour to go on and win that. It wasn't like Torino where we equalised in the 95th, and you're like, there's probably not going to be enough time to go on and win this one. This one, it feels unforgivable, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to Parma either, because I actually think that they were fantastic. And,
they were.
I may even revise my prediction of them going down, because if they play like that and they can keep key players fit and things like that, then they'll be fine. They'll take points. They've taken 4 points off us and Fiorentina, but at the same time, we had our moments in the game, and we've emerged with nothing, and we have 1 point out of a possible 6 now. And we've got Lazio and Inter plus a Champions League game in our next 4 fixtures. That is big, and we needed to start with 6, minimum 4, and we're up shit creek now.
I agree. I do blame Leao a lot more for that goal than you are. When you look at the pass, I mean, he's making a cross completely to the other side of the field. That's fine, but there was. And I forget who it was. It might have been Fofana. Someone with a direct pass. It could have just been a grounded ball near him in the center that still was changing the side of the pitch slightly, but not as drastic. And when you're paid $7 million a year, when you're a guy like Leao, who's capable of things that we know Leao is capable of, misplacing that pass is unacceptable. You just can't do that. It was so far behind Emerson Royale, which, again, Emerson should not have been that far up because Theo was right next to Leao also. So now we have both fullbacks up, 2 center backs, and you misplace the pass that badly. It's about 5 to 10 yards behind Emerson, right for whoever it was that got it from Parma. And then they make one pass, and now it's a 3v2 because all our fullbacks are up. And one was supposed to stay back, and neither of them did, again. And those are the people we're choosing to pass to. I mean, if you know that Teo's right next to you and you're way up the pitch, and you see Emerson's making a run also, okay, one of my fullbacks is not doing their job. I'm going to exclude them from the play until they get their ass back to the line. That's where they're supposed to be. And we're still playing Pioli ball at the moment because Pioli wanted the fullbacks up and a center mid to drop back. Fonseca is the opposite, and we're not doing it. And it's damning of Emerson, who just arrived, who shouldn't have any previous history of saying, this is just how we've always been playing. I forgot. He just got there. So you only know the new tactics. You may not have them mastered, but okay, I stay back, right?
Okay, but if, you're in game mindset, right? When you're going to pass the ball, you don't think, Emerson's too far up. I'm going to pass it to Fofana instead. You're thinking, I'm going to pass it to Emerson, who can then cross it back into the box, right? You're not thinking about the mistakes that you can make.
I would say Messi is paying attention to that. I would say Ronaldo's probably not, but I think those top-level players are paying attention.
Top level.
No.
Exactly. I think that's the point I'm unfortunately making here.
Yeah, it was a bad giveaway, definitely, and I wasn't absolving him of blame. I was just saying that there's plenty of blame to dish around on a goal like that.
Did that goal go through Tomori's legs with the sliding challenge?
Yeah,
The first
yeah.
one?
No,
Also,
it was that
there's
second one, I believe.
7, 8 other players who could have stopped the counterattack.
This is where I'm like getting pissed off though, because like when it's one or two, you can sort of you can rightly or wrongly put the microscope on them and say you fucked up, you got to do better. When it's a lot and when there's multiple errors leading to goals, it is just like, oh my god, we are beyond fucked.
Yeah.
That's when it feels bad, and it feels like it's a combination of issues, and we are sort of going over stuff that we did under the Pioli era, and that's damning in itself. But it's just like the disorganized pressing, the issues with intensity, right and wrong moments, Theo lacking in it at certain times, Pavlovic perhaps having too much of it because of how high the line was. Not good enough in possession. Like I said this about Leao in the build-up has kind of been a warm take, not a hot take, that I thought he'd struggle under Fonseca because of what he wants, this possession-based domination of quick 1-2s and stuff. And he's been far from the worst player. But I think it can be extended beyond him to a wider discussion of, I'm not sure if we have the players technically to play the way that Fonseca wants. I really don't. Like, I don't think we have many players who are actually that good at football. Genuinely. Like, I think we have a lot of very good athletes, and I think that's why we were so good in transition under Pioli, especially in that post-lockdown period. But I think if you ask us to camp in another team's half and to play quick, intricate passing moves to unpick defenses, how many times did we try put a ball in behind and it just went out for a goal kick? How many times did we get in a good crossing position and it either didn't beat the first man or it sailed over everybody's head? How many times did the ball get played into the wingers or into Okafor, who was pretty anonymous, by the way, and we saw that coming because everyone had been calling for him, and then we get him and nothing really happens. But failure to hold up the ball, failure to bring the midfielders in at the right moments. Like, again, I actually don't think that there's the technical ability in this side, especially with Loftus-Cheek as a 10. That didn't work.
It's because we're buying players who can create the stats together, right? Like Moneyball, they all bring a certain stat to create one instead of individual talents who can do everything.
Recreating the algorithm.
If that one stat is goals,
aggregate,
then go for it. But right now it's not. It's just possession, and that's not enough,
Yeah, it's not good. And I get it. There are mitigating factors and there are caveats to this. For example, the internationals arrived late. They haven't had the same time on the training pitch. A lot of them are not going to be 100%. I think we can admit that. The other thing being the new signings arrived later than probably the management and Fonseca would have wanted, so they've not had as much time to build chemistry. But I'm done with making excuses at this point. I think that come the 66th minute of that game, when we just made it 1-1 and we made those changes, we definitely had the players to go out and win that game. At the very least, don't lose in that fashion. This has been a disastrous start. I don't think there's any way you can sugarcoat it, especially considering the games that had to come and the fact that we need such a drastic improvement, in view of we got Lazio away. Lazio won their first game and looked very ordinary in their they played at the same time as us and lost to Udinese. And then we've got Venezia after the break at home. A more affordable fixture on paper, but by no means a guaranteed 3 points if we play like that. And then, Champions League comes and then Inter. So, we got to get our shit together. And that's why I say it needed to be 4. You don't even know how the wins come, really. You've just got to get them on the board and then you build through the gears of momentum. And we don't have any. And there's already newspaper talk about Fonseca being a mistake and about the lack of leadership in the team and stuff, which I think is, is perhaps a little bit too strong after 180 minutes of football. But when the evidence of the 180 minutes is this bad,
we already have the second worst defense in the league. Only Lecce is doing worse, and they've conceded 6, scored 0. So, the good news is we have the 4th best attack. So
I think once our defense is used to playing with each other, it's going to be fine.
This is the kind of when you start with Torino at home and Parma away, though. No disrespect to those teams again, because Torino are flying. They beat Atalanta and
No, fuck both of them.
All right, yeah, if you want. But those are the games where you think, all right, we've got an affordable couple of games there to ease the players into it. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way. Every game's hard. You go from pre-season to competitive games. The intensity ramps up. It's sink or swim, do or die, all that shit. But yeah, on paper, you look at it and you think, that's okay. Thank God we don't play anyone very difficult in the first 2 or 3 games of the season. And instead, it's like, okay, now the new signings have to come in, and now the players need to be at 100%. Otherwise, we are going to be miles behind.
Mm-hmm.
We're going
I
to be
think
way off the pace.
Torino is always a little bit of a tough game, though.
It has been historically.
On paper, it
last
shouldn't be,
couple
but
games,
they always give us a run, and first game of the season just has bad news all over it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a real stat. This is just what it feels like. But literally, since we did this, beat them 7-1, I feel like every single game's been a draw or a loss. Like, since we embarrassed them, spanked them like children, they've learned from their mistakes and have adapted towards that, something that we've failed to do. So,
as we said last week, though, after the Torino game, they had a new head coach too. You know, they hired Paulo Fonseca from Venezia, and therefore they were learning the ropes still under a new head coach. So you think, okay, you know, that
their starters are about 4 weeks deeper.
I think that we try to do there's too many moving parts with Milan. They're trying to do too many things the smart way instead of just the right way, and it just does not always work correctly.
Yeah, like one of the criticisms that has been leveled by various newspapers and journalists is like, this is what happens when you take so long to get signings over the line, because you might get a player for 2 million less, but that 2 weeks that it costs you in negotiations could be the difference between them starting the season and us getting literally an extra 5 points versus where we are now, which is, shit, we better get things right soon, or the season's going to be a write-off very quickly. You know, the Gianpaolo stuff has started up. Don't agree with it. There's quite a lot of different. There's a lot of differences, but it's just like, yeah, when you do things slowly, and it's a balancing act, obviously, because we want to get deals done on the basis that we are comfortable with, and I would praise the management for getting a bargain signing like Fofana done. And I say bargain because, you know, I do think the fee that we paid for him is one that we're all quite happy, because he's a difference maker. He'll become a starter. And we got the price that we were happy. Well, we were willing to go up to all along. That's all well and good. But, you know, here we are. He's coming on in the second half of this game, perhaps a little bit confused still about what needs to be done. And you just wonder what might have been different if he'd come in a week, 10 days prior. And here we are going into the last few days of the transfer window, while Juventus are literally about to sign Coop Miners for a huge fee. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be comfortable if we were paying that. But like, there are rivals adding pieces to sort of finish the jigsaw, whereas here we are like, well, we still need to sell players if we're going to get anyone else in. We've got squad list issues, and the whole thing feels like, as Maddie said, a lot of moving parts trying to come together and form something, and at the moment it's not working well. It's not looking good. But
we make profit.
There you go. Yeah, so, I mean, that's something else that deserves a whole other discussion, to be honest, is whether we have been ambitious enough in this summer window, and whether we've done it to death, really, but whether constantly going for these 15 to 20 million euro signings is actually beneficial when it comes to you trying to improve key parts of the lineup. You know, was it right to go for another sort of, I say, budget option on the striker front, or should we have just pushed the boat out and invested? Was now the time, especially with a new coach coming in who wants backing and stuff? But yeah, I don't know, man. Annoying.
Look, if you continue, Oliver, you won't understand this concept. If you keep on buying a $5,000 car, it's going to continue to break. If you buy a new nice car, it's going to perform.
Sometimes.
No, yours was not new. It was a lemon. You literally told us that.
No, my last one was this current one. The one that's actually had issues was new.
Oh, this was it. Oh, I forgot that this one had
Yeah.
issues.
No, the one in 2019 was the lemon.
Okay,
Which never had
if
a
you buy a
problem.
$5,000 car or an Italian sports car, you're going to have
There
issues.
you go.
Which makes sense. We're an Italian team, so
Yeah.
Let's do tops and flops then, and just put this game in the books.
Yeah.
Flop. Yeah, go on.
I was
No,
gonna
you
say
go
quickly,
first.
it's probably Theo flop, Pavlovic top for everyone. I'm assuming.
Yep.
I was going to say Pulisic, he got a goal, but I won't because it's typical American behavior.
Salamanca's flop.
Always.
Forgot he was on the team, didn't even play. He might have helped us win. Actually, he knows the rules.
Yeah, he didn't come on. As you said, Benacer didn't come on. But I'm afraid that's about it in terms of difference makers that we have readily available. So, like, there's pretty much everyone there barring Morata. And he should be back, but not until after the break. So, yeah, that leads us on to the game before the break, which is Lazio away from home. I would... Before a ball was kicked this season, I'd have been pretty confident going into this one. But now with where we are, it's two sides that are under a little bit of pressure because, as mentioned, Lazio got beaten by Udinese in their last game, 2-1. Although they did win the first game of the season 3-1 against Venezia, so they at least have a win under their belts. They've got a new head coach in charge, Marco Baroni, who was formerly of Hellas Verona. And that's where he was most recently. Lecce before that, and I don't really. I'm not expecting big things from Lazio this season. In the preseason predictions thing, I said that I thought that they'd be close to mid-table rather than challenging for Europe, especially for a Champions League place. I've not seen anything that really changes my mind on that. I mean, if you look at the starting lineup that they played in that game against Udinese, they had Provedel in goal. Lazzari, Casale, Romagnoli, Marusic. It's not a terrible back four, but I think it will concede goals. Guendouzi, Vicino, and Dele Bashiru in midfield. Noslin, Castellanos, and Zaccagni is the front three. I mean, that's not an 11 that inspires great confidence from me that they can go on and do big things this season.
Until they play Milan.
Exactly. We are going to play them into form. The Olympiacos hit or miss for us. Do you know what it feels like? Whenever we've been through a confidence crisis in recent years, we always seem to have a trip to face either Roma or Lazio away. Remember when we had that awful run in the February under Pioli, and we were letting in goals all over? We went and lost 4-0 at the Olympico to Lazio, who were not a great team at that point. I don't want to say I fear the same again, but like this is a team that is so lacking in confidence right now. Yeah, I'm not feeling great about this one. I actually think we could go winless in our first three.
I think we're going to come out with a win only because the team. I feel like this team, whenever they're put up against pressure, except for the last two games, they come out on top. And against Inter.
Yeah, I think we might as well. I mean, look,
I'm also
Venezia is
watching
an
with AJ,
awful
so
team.
they better
Venezia
win.
is a very awful team. So that win I don't hold in high regard. That's an expected win. Losing 2-1, basically 2-0 because their goals in the 95th minute to a 10-man Udinese. That's pretty telling. You shouldn't be doing that, right? Like you should be winning that game. I'm not saying we haven't dropped points and lost games that we should have won, which that's literally been our entire season, every single game. But
Yep.
I don't know. I look at their lineup, their players, and it doesn't do anything for me. Zaccagni shouldn't be a winger, right? He's number 10 because he wants to play down the middle. We know that, and he's not. Castellanos is not anything impressive. Noslin, I doubt Noslin even starts. It's going to be Isaacson because he scored the goal, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Romagnoli, I mean, we got rid of him for a reason. Provedel, okay, he always shows up for us or against us, but he's getting up there in age. Lazzari's getting up there in age. Guendouzi is a flop.
That midfield, Vicino now he must be 33, something like
33,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, Guendouzi, I don't mind him. I think he's a decent player, actually. But Dele Bashiru was, I'm sure he was at Sheffield Wednesday like 2 years ago. I'm not so convinced by that.
Yeah, it was. 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So that's a game. Maybe it's a game where the midfield can show that they've got a little bit of something about them. And to be honest, I want to see us change system now. I think we need to rediscover some solidity from somewhere, and I think that means playing 3 in midfield. At the moment, we are not playing well enough to justify the luxury of having an attacking midfielder, especially when that's Loftus-Cheek, because he ain't going to give you much in terms of end product at present. Nothing's clicking. When things are going well, and there's a good relationship between the wingers and the fullbacks, and we got Morata back maybe, so he's better with link-up play.
I don't
Then
think
I think
I think he's out after.
no, I mean
Yeah, I
when
think
we
he's-
have Morata back,
oh.
yeah. So like when things are a bit more fluid in the attacking department, maybe you can get away with playing Loftus-Cheek as a 10 every now and again. But with
What
things
Musa?
how they are as a 10, I don't know.
I mean, he is always trying to get
Reinders-
forward, but
He
Reinders
likes to
would be the
dribble. He
one.
likes to. I like Reinders as a midfielder.
Yeah.
Like
He's just
Poland.
so suspect in the like he's an absolute passenger when the other team has the ball, unfortunately.
If we played
we'll
with like a natural center mid instead of an attacking or wanting to play with 2 defending, I'd play Reinders for sure. I don't know about attacking.
I
since
really
we're
think-
promoting
Sorry.
Americans that don't deserve it right now, why not play Pulisic as a striker?
No.
I mean, we don't have one, right? Okafor didn't do shit. Jovic sucks.
Nah, I mean,
I
but
give
we
Okafor
can't-
way more runs out, man.
Yeah.
Pioli, this guy would get 10 minutes, no goal, and be benched for like 5 weeks.
We can't do that. We can't
No.
spend days on end absolutely clamoring for Okafor to start up front because Morata's unavailable. Let's be honest, but saying he needs to start over Jovic because he's good and Jovic is not good, and then switch after
Yeah,
one game.
But
One
that
game
was
where
a
he
bad game. Did he get a touch? He
had
had
a
one
shot that
missed
was
shot.
well saved. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
he also had
but
one that he
also,
toe poked at rather than
the
like
team was
trying to
so
push it.
disjointed. I don't know if you can blame him.
No,
But this is what I
mean,
mean, like
he didn't do a whole lot.
about you go behind after 60 seconds. The game is all of a sudden no longer suited to Okafor because you got a team who's going to defend deep and make it difficult for you and counter. Like the opportunity is no longer there for us to play the way that we want to, and you just see a lot of players then go into their shell a little bit, and Okafor unfortunately fell victim to that. I think he should start against Lazio because I think his pace will cause problems for for their centre back pairing, and yeah, you just
This
can't.
is pretty dreadful stat. Not to go back to the Parma game, but Okafor only had 21 touches and he missed 2 big chances according to FOTMOB. So
Okay, as a striker, your chances are supposed to be given to you, and people are supposed to be passing you the ball. Am I wrong?
yeah, but the whole reason we wanted him is because he was mobile. He could run. He could get the ball deep and break into the box. He could beat people.
But when your outside backs are coming up, your midfielders don't know where to play. What does that do to you as a striker?
I don't know. I wasn't one.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just
we don't
wanted
know
to
how he thinks.
to compare it with
like
Jovic.
he's,
No,
he's
just
nothing know what to do.
to me, the damning part of that is the 2 big chances missed. If you have only 20 touches and you're having 2 big chances and you fuck both of them, that's the
You know what
part
this
that
game would have
worries
been
me.
perfect for?
Goals.
Giroud
Yeah,
or
honestly,
Jovic just sitting in the box, not moving.
we win both games with Giroud. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Unfortunately,
Jovic had
He's my
18.
first guy.
Jovic had 18 touches against Torino.
How many big chances did he
What
have?
we basically
we moved the needle somewhere, right?
I just don't think that we never, and I say we, and I speak collectively for the entire fan base here. I don't think any of us ever said Okafor's going to be a brilliant striker.
No, I actually did. I was that.
Yeah,
thought
you probably
he would.
The day we signed him, I
to be
said
honest.
start him over Giroud, and then
no, but like
finally
a
got my way.
brilliant out and out centre forward. What we were all saying, and I stand by it, is that he is going to be a better deputy to Morata than Jovic.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily mean brilliance, It just means we don't have another proper striker behind him, so it's going to have to be him, kind of thing. And I still want Okafor to start there on Saturday. I think he is the better player. I'd rather a player get those chances than not. It's a bit like the Darwin Núñez thing. He fluffs a lot, definitely. But I'd rather we create those chances, and who knows, you might get a rebound, or he might finally bury one, than Jovic, who had nothing. Absolutely nothing, because he was never in and around the dangerous area.
Yeah. Playing Pulisic as a striker was more of a joke about Madison saying Musa as a 10, by the way. But then it evolved into an actual argument, and then I started defending the point. But yeah, Okafor over Jovic anyways. I know, I'm realizing the comments are already typing away. It's Twitter fingers. But yeah, I want more from Okafor. And I think the problem right now is both of our backup strikers are only valuable off the bench. Both of them come off the bench, they score every time they do it. Either of them starts, stinkers. I don't get it. It's the weirdest thing ever. And when we're in a situation where our main striker is out for 3 weeks
after playing for 5 minutes,
after playing for 5-10 minutes, and didn't have it in the entirety of his Atletico Madrid career, it's like, what do we fucking do? We go out and we spend 65 million on Ossium, get him in.
Yeah,
not happening.
Nope.
That would imply a management that wants to win, and I'm not sure we have that. Anyway,
just thinking of how much we spent this summer, we could have done it. But...
Yeah,
we would have gotten one player.
Yeah, if we could fucking sell players, that'd be good as well, instead of loaning them to teams that probably want to fight for a European spot with us. But anyway, Lazio, what
will also look fantastic there. We just don't know how to use them, right?
Jury's out on that. We'll wait and see about Pobega at Bologna, but it's done. Loan with option. Apparently, Adley's going with an obligation
against us.
Oh, don't, man. Ante Rebic is back in Serie A as well. He's joined Lecce, so we're in trouble. We're in trouble for that game. Lazio game. What lineup are you going with? I'm going to go with a 4-3-3 for this one. I'm ready to bin Calabria off at this point. I am. I've seen enough
already.
I've seen enough come down that right side.
Last 10 years, you've already seen enough of him.
I've seen enough of him this season under Fonseca. I'm having Royal Tomori, who again I don't think was awful, but it was just a little bit chaotic playing so high up the field. Pavlovic has to stay in, and Theo, unfortunately, like he's one of our best players. But after that, you want to have the depth to be able to say that's unacceptable. You're benched, but we don't. And then I'm going to go with the midfield three. I think Fofana has to start, and I'm going to say Reinders and Benacer either side. You can make a case for Loftus-Cheek over Benacer if Benacer is close to a sale or whatever. You can even make a case for Musa, but we need to have protection from a three. And you have to tell each of the three to do their fucking job. Like, I don't care if you prefer going forward. You can only go forward when the moment's right. And you need to look across at the other two midfielders and see what they're doing. Because if they've gone forward as well, you need to drop back. Like, then there needs to be some cohesion and chemistry and some balance. Like, spent all the preseason talking about the importance of balance and work rates and making sure that there's coverage so we don't get cut open in transition. It looks even worse at the moment. So I think you need to add more protection, and you need to tell these players, I don't give a shit what you want to do. We need to stop conceding goals, and we need to back ourselves that we're going to score one or two. Then, front three, Pulisic on the right, Okafor down the middle, Leao on the left.
Yeah, I think, honestly, the same. I wouldn't change anyone in the back line. I feel like because Emerson and Fofana played immediately, that Fonseca thinks they're ready to start right away, that they came in. So I guess do that. I'm a little apprehensive, but it's probably just 5 years of Pioli ball, skirting. What I don't know what the word is, making me scorn or whatever.
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD. Thank you. Sorry. I feel like I have CTE after that. Yeah. So the only thing in the midfield, I do think a flat 4-3-3 makes more sense right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're gonna do it though. I think we're still gonna probably do a 4-2-3-1, and if that's the case, then I don't want to see Loftus-Cheek as the 10. I guess put Christian back there and throw Chukwueze out right, but I'd rather not.
Chukwueze looked horrible against Torino.
But if we're gonna do a 10 again, I don't want to see Loftus-Cheek there. I don't want to see
put Reinders there.
I don't want to see Reinders there. I want Reinders where he should be. I want Fofana where he should be. I want everyone to play where they should be.
As the number 10.
What about Liberali?
I would love Liberali there. He's the only real 10 on this team. The only one. It's crazy.
So the Futura lost. as well
Yeah.
on Saturday.
But you know who
versus
won?
Montella.
The Primavera.
Yeah, so get all them.
You know, we could have gotten James Rodriguez on a free. Just saying.
Oh man,
It's all
I
good,
don't even
man.
know where. Yeah, I'll pass. Thank you. I wonder if you just say, "Hey, Leao, mate, fuck off." Pulisic, you're playing on the left. Chukwueze, you're playing on the
You
right.
don't want
Can't
Pulisic
do
on
that,
the
but-
left. He looks way better on the right.
I'm afraid because we don't really know what Fonseca does when faced with adversity like this. We're gonna. What if we see something crazy like that?
4-2-2.
Pulisic on the left and Leao down the middle, and we all go, "What the fuck? We've seen Leao as a striker. He's not good."
It works.
And then we
or
won like
Pulisic as a
7-1.
striker. You know, like he did say in preseason that Pulisic could play anywhere in the attack, including striker, which scared me then. It scares me now. But if our strikers keep putting in performances like they are, it's gonna happen at some point, and then he's gonna put in the same performance because anyone who plays up top for us just can't win.
Agreed. We are a joke of a club. Predictions?
3-1 victory.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Uh,
go 2-0 clean sheet for Lazio.
I'm gonna go.
No, I'm just kidding. For us.
Fonseca sacked after 3 games. He could beat Gianpaolo's record.
Impossible.
speed running. Yeah.
You think Jerry's gonna waste that money paying out his contract?
I
No
don't
way.
know. I don't think so. Allegri's available. 1-1. I don't think we win. I'm gonna go 1-1. And I think it's gonna be a really bad game between two teams that know how bad it would be to lose. So I'll go 1-1, and I hope you two boys are right. Let's move on and do some questions. I was hoping that I'd be able to talk about a signing that's going to happen or like some late business. The only thing is Adley going to Fiorentina on loan with what sounds like an obligation to buy for 13-15 mil. I was kind of hoping he'd go abroad just so we don't have to see him potentially do well at another club in Italy. But so be it. Like, if it's obligation to buy and we're going to pocket at least 13 mil, then you've got to say yes to that deal. And also him staying in Italy means that he's going to see all of his friends regularly. All his friends that he bought those NBA jerseys for. Questions anyway. Macovilea asks, how do you address our defensive issue and high line? Is it as simple as playing deeper and ensuring the defensive midfielder stays back?
Say that one more time.
How do you address our defensive issue and high line? Is it as simple as playing deeper and ensuring the defensive midfielder stays back?
I think you need to have your outside backs know who's going up and who's staying back. And then same with your mids. You can't have Musa and Reinders play together and have them both push up.
Yeah.
Also, like, have some knowledge and some awareness of what's going on around you. And like know what to do.
Yeah, that's the big one, is just understanding the situation at hand. And I think a big thing for preventing these counterattacks is keeping someone back. You can't have Tomori by himself on an island, because you get 2 people on one, like, that's a guaranteed goal. You know,
Do you see Pavlovic run? Dude's like a horse.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's fast, he's strong, he could do it all, but you don't have to do it all.
He doesn't look
you're
fast.
paid to be a defender. You're not paid to be the striker, center midfielder, left wing, right back, like center back.
Pulisic is.
Yeah, I know. He's paid to do that. Pavlovic isn't. He's making a personal decision. No, keep the center backs back. And people might say it's going to hurt the counters. I don't fucking care. I'd rather us not concede. If we have to grind out a 1-0 every week like Allegri ball to win, I'd rather that than lose 2-1 to Parma and Dennis Mann. Like, let's just get back to the basics. 2 center backs. Anytime we go forward in an attack, I get that one of the fullbacks is going to go with them. Keep the other back. Maybe even have a midfielder drop back so that you have, we signed Fofana to be a defensive midfielder. Let him defend. It's as simple as just doing the jobs that everyone has assigned to them. When you try to help other people out, you'll let go of some of your own responsibilities, and shit gets fucked. So if we just do what we're supposed to be doing, we'll be fine.
Maybe the 505 never went away. Maybe Pioli wants to come out and say, but he's gagged by a non-disclosure or whatever. Maybe he wants to come out and say, it's a group of players that can't read the game. Like, they have no awareness. It's like playing on FIFA on ultra attacking at all times. You just got players bombing, and all players with attacking work rates as well, for those who have played the game before.
If you watch the United States and Copa America this summer, you know it's not.
I didn't.
Good,
I didn't.
because they look fucking awful.
That's good. Pulisic up front. Hassan asks, two-part question. Part A, with Zlatan taking Maldini's role and turning it into a clown show, brackets,
It was already one.
Brackets, video with speed, usual cocky comments, etc., and a point in Fonseca. It feels like this Milan is in a trial and error phase at the moment. Thoughts? Don't like Zlatan.
I like Zlatan. I don't think he's doing anything wrong. AJ loves him. He's never going to speak ill about him.
That's not true. I've spoken ill on him plenty, but I also agree with you here that I don't think he's turned it into the clown show. I think
he doesn't have any control.
Maldini got 9 out of 11 signings wrong. How is it turned into a clown show? We never left the circus. We're still in the parking lot. Just been hanging out. We're on our lunch break right now. It's the same shit, different day. Yeah.
Would I prefer Zlatan to do less of the gimmicky PR stuff? And for example,
that's who he is. You can't take that away.
Yeah, I know, but and also he hasn't taken Maldini's role technically. He's not a technical director, and therefore he's a senior advisor to the ownership group, which means there is a lot more leeway in terms of what he can do in his role. And I think he's learning on the job still a little bit as well. But alas, when it comes to when it comes to what he can do for Milan, I think we all have an idea of what he should be doing, which is to be like a public figurehead who speaks in the good and the difficult moments. Also somebody who can speak to signings and convince them. Someone who can take players who are struggling to one side and be a bit of a mentor and say, this is what it takes to become mentally tougher, to become more consistent. And then when you see stuff like the video with speed and you see him making comments in press conferences about Gordon being on day 6 of 7 and stuff like that, I can understand where some of the frustration comes from. There's a time and a place for the jokey side of things, and that's when things are going well, not when we need to see more from the team. The trial and error phase thing is interesting because I think that while ever we're only willing to spend up to that much on signings, it will be trials and errors, if you know what I mean. There is going to be an inherent gamble in everyone. We appear to have struck a bargain with Pulisic and with some of the other players from before that we signed in and around that price bracket. Doesn't mean every single player that we sign for 20 mil is going to be good. Doesn't mean we're going to turn Emerson Royale back into the version that he was at Betis. Doesn't necessarily mean that Pavlovic is going to be an incredible Serie A centre-back or anything like that. I think we have to accept that, and that's part of the Moneyball philosophy.
Yeah, I agree.
Philosophy. Yeah, that's it. The part B of the question: Theo's work rate, fitness levels, or demotivation? Remember that the question last week about is he unhappy and just doesn't want to be here, and we laughed it off. The bloke's showing us.
Well, you're not laughing.
I mean, look, he's fast as fuck, and he doesn't use it.
Yeah. To me, that's
to get on the attack.
I don't know if it's work rate or fitness. To be honest with you, it could be either. It really could be either. I don't even know what he did over the summer after the Euros. I don't follow him on any social media, so I don't know. Was he chilling?
He went on holiday with Morata, I think.
Oh, that's weird.
Or they went.
Morata's hurt. Theo's limping, so they go cliff diving.
I nearly did after the game. I think fitness. I think a little bit of his fitness. Also, part of this is on the management for not having a capable deputy or a ready-to-go deputy, because then you can say, okay, Theo, you can sit out this first 2 and get yourself back to 100%. But would he want to do that? I don't know. Is he the kind of player who would push through that? I don't think I know he's vice captain, and he's, if Calabria gets benched, he's going to end up wearing the armband more often than not. But Costa Curta said, and I think Capello might have said the same. And he's somebody who knows what it means to lead a successful Milan team, with everything that he won, albeit different era, but knows what the standard is. Said that he just isn't a leader, he's not a natural leader. And I do think we have a lot of players that are going to appear to be leaders when things are going well, but when things go badly, they shrink, and we don't see that from them. Maignan seems to be the only one who shouts at times.
Yeah.
And I do worry about the lack of leadership in this team. And people say, well, we lost Giroud and Kier. They were just old. They weren't necessarily leaders. You know what I mean? Like this idea that... But I do think that there is some experience missing from that team, from this team, in a sense. And, maybe Morata can be that, but he doesn't strike me as the rallier of the troops.
Did Giroud?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think it was just his experience. Like, it's great having players who have won stuff, but were they the leaders in that group that won stuff? Or did they just happen to be there,
Pulisic won the Champions League.
Yeah, he played a lot as well that year. Let's move on. Appa 1899. How many garbage games do we allow before we say this was a Gianpaolo hire? Keeping in mind the plethora of talent, I presume he means managerial talent, that was available during the search for Piola's replacement. I'm going to twist it slightly. Your gut feeling at this very moment in time, have we made the wrong hire?
No.
And I don't want any of this, well, we've got to wait and see. I'll make a judgment after 5 games. Right now, where we sit, 1 point from 6 available, but also a good pre-season.
I mean, it's not fair to ask after 2 games.
I don't give a shit about fairness.
I know. I just know that I'm gonna say, no, we made the wrong hire for basing off of results up till today. Then yeah, it's not working out. But don't clip that because the season could very well change. There's 36
Martino
games
is
left.
going to clip that.
Too late.
Yeah, he's fired.
It's okay. He's used to it.
Fonseca and Martino fired on the same day. Be some double header. I don't know. No, I don't think we've made the wrong hire. And the reason that I say that is almost like because he says about the talent that was available. It's that people will point at Conte and say that's what he was never an option for us. He was never even on the list. A lot of these managers that people think we should have gone for weren't on the list. I think that you could make a very strong case for Thiago Motta at the moment because Juve have won 2 games 3-0 and they look pretty good. And they're making signings that suggest that they are serious, about a push on this season. And I think that would be fair. But
there's going to be the Juve collapse. There has been the past 4 seasons. Give him time. We
don't know how that's going to turn out. He's another inexperienced coach. We went for the far more experienced coach, It's
funny we want experienced coaches, but not players.
I mean, that's who's going to turn the inexperienced players into good players, I guess. But
is that right? A coach who got fired from Roma?
Yeah, I mean, but how many years ago was that?
I don't know.
There you
how
go.
long ago?
It was a while back. Yeah, around there, I think.
Yeah,
5 years is not that long. Nothing no drastic changes have been happening in world football in the last 5 years.
We have 1 player from our Scudetto winning season 3 years ago.
Well, there was a pandemic.
Footballing world. That's the entire.
So the
pandemic
pandemic did not affect the footballing world. That's
it affected our defense. We looked fucking rock solid.
When Fonseca got sacked from Roma, he could only use 3 substitutions.
He only used 4 on Saturday night.
So blame it on
he's
not
still adapting to the changes. There's been so many.
Maybe by the end of the season, he'll use that 5th one. Fahed asks about the possibility of hiring Sarri in case we sack Fonseca. I know, AJ, you had mentioned while we were searching for a manager that Sarri might have been an okay fit, but the guy has just been sat on the sidelines since he left Lazio, sniping at other clubs. He basically said us and Fiorentina should have taken a look at him and stuff. You kind of proving why we didn't. And Conte is also kind of proving why we didn't, because he gave that interview after they lost the first game 3-0 to Verona, Napoli that is. It's just yep, that's why we didn't go for you. Let's hope that next week's better, boys. As Oasis once sang, some might say we will find a brighter day. And that day is today.
Shut the fuck
Milan. Fuck Milan. The boys are getting back together. Happy days. Could just spot Man City, actually. Anyway, I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
Yeah, I don't know what that outro was, but USA.
And Maddie.
Yeah. I wasn't supposed to be here, but I was, so.
Great way to sign off.
You're welcome.
We'll be back later this week with another bonus episode. It's going to be hot takes, a little bit later than planned because we had signings to cover and stuff, but we're going to do hot takes for the season. And back next week with another main episode. Have a good week, everyone.
Gol! Ancora Theo! È una meraviglia! Il gol di Theo Hernandez da un'area all'altra! È una meraviglia! Senti il mio cuore!